I landed in São Paulo on a Tuesday morning. The flight was long, but I felt good. I had meetings lined up, people to see, projects to discuss. Brazil always energized me. The innovation happening there, the entrepreneurs building amazing things with limited resources. It inspired me every time. I walked through the terminal with my assistant, Mark. We were heading to baggage claim. The airport was busy. Families reuniting, business travelers rushing to their next connection, tour groups clustering around their guides. Normal airport chaos. We got our bags and headed toward the exit. That's when I noticed them. 3 men. They weren't obviously threatening at first. Just 3 guys who seemed to be walking in the same direction. But something felt off. The way they positioned themselves. 1 ahead, 2 flanking us from the sides. Mark noticed 2. He moved closer to me. "Sir, let's go back inside," he said quietly. Before I could respond, they were on us. It happened so fast. The man in front blocked our path. The other 2 closed in from the sides. 1 grabbed my briefcase. I held on. Stupid, I know, but it was instinct. "Give it," he said in English. His accent was thick, but the message was clear. I didn't let go. The briefcase had my laptop, my phone, documents for the meetings. But that wasn't why I held on. Inside was something else, something irreplaceable. The second man pulled out a knife. Not huge, but big enough. Mark stepped between us. "Just give it to them," Mark said. The man with the knife pushed Mark aside. Not violently, but firmly. Mark stumbled back. I looked around. Where was security? Where were the police? The terminal was full of people, but everyone seemed focused on their own things. Or maybe they saw what was happening and knew better than to intervene. The third man, who had been quiet, reached into his jacket. I didn't wait to see what he was reaching for. I let go of the briefcase. They ran. Just like that. Through the automatic doors, into a waiting car. Gone. Airport security showed up 2 minutes later. 2 minutes. Mark was already on the phone with the embassy, with local police, with our team. But I just stood there. People walked past us. Life continued. Announcements echoed through the terminal in Portuguese and English. Someone's child was crying. A couple argued about which exit to take. The world kept moving while mine had just stopped. The briefcase wasn't about money. The laptop could be replaced. The phone could be replaced. Even the documents, though inconvenient, could be recreated. It was the notebook. My father gave me that notebook when I was 14. It was leather-bound, simple, nothing fancy. He told me to write down ideas, thoughts, things I learned. "Your memory will fail you," he said. "Paper won't." I've filled dozens of notebooks since then, but I always kept that first one with me. It had my earliest programming notes, sketches of ideas that later became Microsoft products, random thoughts about life, business, mistakes I made, lessons I learned. But more than that, it had notes from conversations with my father. After he passed away 12 years ago, that notebook became something sacred to me. His handwriting was in there too. He'd sometimes grab it and jot down something he wanted me to remember. Advice, dad jokes. Once, just, "I'm proud of you," with the date, and I lost it. In a 3-second robbery at an airport. The police were kind. They took statements, filed reports, made promises they probably couldn't keep. The airport manager apologized profusely. He kept saying this never happens, that São Paulo is safe, that they have excellent security. I nodded. What else could I do? The meetings got rescheduled. Our foundation team in Brazil sent security. Everyone did what they could, but that notebook was gone. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept replaying the scene. What if I had listened to Mark? What if I had walked back inside? What if I had just handed over the briefcase immediately instead of holding on? Mark felt terrible. He blamed himself for not acting faster, for not insisting we stay inside the terminal, for not grabbing the briefcase himself. I told him it wasn't his fault. These things happen. Brazil isn't uniquely dangerous. I've had security scares in New York, London, Delhi. Bad people exist everywhere. But he kept apologizing anyway. The next day, I tried to work. I couldn't focus. I kept thinking about that notebook, about my father's handwriting, about the entries I'd made over 30 years, about how I'd never see them again. People told me to move on. It's just a notebook, someone said. They didn't get it. How could they? It wasn't just paper and ink. It was memory. It was connection. It was the only physical thing I had that my father had touched and written in. We filed insurance claims. We contacted local pawn shops, just in case. We offered a reward, no questions asked. The foundation put out word through local contacts. Nothing. Days passed, then weeks. I went back to Seattle, back to work, back to life. But something felt hollow. I'd lost things before. Money, deals, opportunities. You lose things in business all the time. But this was different. This was personal in a way nothing else had been. My wife noticed. "You're not yourself," she said one evening. I wasn't. I felt like I'd lost a part of my father all over again. Like I'd failed to protect something he'd entrusted to me. It sounds dramatic, maybe, but that's how it felt. 3 weeks later, I got a package. It arrived at our Seattle office. No return address, postmarked from São Paulo. My assistant brought it to me. It was small, wrapped in brown paper, secured with too much tape. I opened it carefully. Inside was my notebook. Just the notebook. Not the laptop, not the phone, not the briefcase itself. Only the notebook. I held it in my hands. The leather was worn, familiar. I opened it. My teenage handwriting stared back at me. Then my father's handwriting. Everything was there. Every page intact. There was a letter with it, handwritten in Portuguese. My hands were shaking. I called our translator. She read it to me. "Mr. Gates, I am writing to return something that belongs to you. I was not one of the men who robbed you, but I know them. After they realized what they had taken, they tried to sell everything. I bought the bag from them. When I opened the notebook and saw what was inside, I knew it was important. My father also died, and I have letters from him that I would never want to lose. I cannot make up for what happened to you in my country. I can only return this and say I am sorry. Please know that most Brazilians would never do what those men did. We are not all thieves. Some of us still believe in doing the right thing, even when no one is watching." The letter wasn't signed. I read it 3 times. Then I just sat there, holding the notebook. I've thought about that person a lot. Someone who bought stolen goods, probably knowing they were stolen, but who made the effort to return something when they realized its real value. Someone who spent their own money to mail it internationally. Someone who took the risk of sending it at all, knowing it might connect them to a crime. Someone who had also lost their father and understood what that felt like. I never found out who sent it. I tried. I had people look into it, trace the package, ask around. Nothing. Whoever sent it didn't want to be found. They just wanted to do the right thing. But I got my notebook back. The robbery itself lasted maybe 30 seconds. The feeling of loss lasted 3 weeks. But the restoration of faith in people, that lasted much longer. I still travel to Brazil regularly. I still love the country, the people, the energy, the creativity there, the resilience, the warmth. It's remarkable. I'm more careful now, sure. Better security protocols, less visible presence at airports. But I didn't let that one bad experience define an entire place. Because here's what I learned. 3 men made a terrible choice that day. But one person made a beautiful choice afterward. In the math of human decency, I'll take those odds every time. My father's handwriting is still in that notebook. His jokes, his advice, his pride. It sits on my desk now, not in my briefcase. And every time I see it, I think about the person who sent it back. I never got to thank them properly, so I'll say it here. Thank you. You gave me back something irreplaceable. And you reminded me why, despite everything, I still believe most people are fundamentally good. I've been robbed of money before. I've lost deals, lost investments, lost opportunities. In business, you learn to accept losses. But that day in São Paulo, I lost something that money couldn't replace. And a stranger, someone I'll never meet, gave it back. That was the saddest day of my life. But the day the notebook came back? That was one of the best. Sometimes I wonder about that person, what their life is like, whether they ever think about that moment, whether they know how much it meant to me. I hope they do. I hope they understand that their one act of kindness restored something bigger than a notebook. It restored my faith, not just in Brazil, but in people everywhere. Because in the end, that's what matters. Not the three who took, but the one who gave back.